There is a very strong sense that justice cannot be done after Grenfell. The call for a just and humane response has fallen on deaf ears. The community, angered yet dignified, has responded to the state's failures with silent marches. They have grown with each month, taking place on the 14th, the date of the fire. The deficit of justice is never as stark as it is when the streets of my areas are filled with bereaved families and survivors demanding what is right.
It's clear now there was no justice. I had it in my mind from 2 days after the fire that we was never going to see justice. It's pure rage. There's pure sadness. There's some good stories we're not going to say. There's people that made it out of there with their whole family and they're alive today, and that's good and that's beautiful, but you can't always be happy about that because I know people that didn't make it out. So it's rage. It's back to rage.
There will never be justice. I personally believe that, and it's just my own very own personal belief, that the kind of only game in town is Martin Morbick's public inquiry.
From state failings that caused the fire, state failings in the immediate aftermath, now the very real fears that state failings will prevail over the public inquiry into what happened at Grenfell, because it is being headed up by Morbick, a judge with a history of controversial rulings in housing cases where he's been accused of social cleansing.
People need to go to jail. Do you know what I mean? People lost their lives. If we had done this, we would have been arrested, we would have been questioned, we would have been bailed. The whole of the TMO management team need to go to jail.
What it would have been is to go and arrest the guys who put the cladding on there, the guys who sold the cladding, and the guys who authorised the cladding to go on Grenfell. That would have been perfect justice for me. Perfect.
And a lot of the main players in these organisations all got connections with each other. They all have had direct relationships. Their paths have crossed, going right back to David Cameron, who deregulated fire safety and lived within walking distance of Grenfell Tower.
It remains to be seen what the outcome of the public inquiry and police investigation will be. But one thing we know for sure is we will never trust the state and its mates in the private sector who now own this area to keep us safe again. Since the aftermath of the fire, the community continues to come together, not just to pick up where the council fails, but to try to increase our power so that nothing like this can ever happen again.
That was a tragedy. Has happened to the community.
Like you said, it woke a lot of people up.
It's woken a lot of people. It woke me up. It woke a lot of people up. And I believe if we all continue to stand and make the noise and not shut people out, we can change this community to the greater good.
We know from observing what's going on that there is a more contemplative mood. There is a more thoughtful mood amongst young people. There isn't as much madness going on the streets that was going on as before. People are thinking about, so this is a divide and rule thing. We are being pitted against each other. How do we deal with that? And I think that it's an opportunity to actually turn a lot of stuff around.
History is key to understanding the struggle of working class communities in North Kensington. The area, known as Grove to people around here, is like the London equivalent of New York's Harlem. It was the centre of counterculture, from sound system to punk. In the post-war years, where the fight against racism and fascism was at home more than abroad, the Caribbean and progressive white working class communities battled against the far right on the streets of the area. In the battles for public space, Grove set the bar in many ways, claiming disused lands from the council and others for the benefit of the community. In so many ways, the history of Grove is one of never-ending struggle, up until today, where we are fighting the biggest threat we have ever faced: gentrification. Some locals think that the only way forward for our community is to build on the way we came together and organised where the state had abandoned us in the aftermath of the fire.
The state here failed. It failed the people of North Kent, it failed the people of Grenfell Town, and it was voluntary effort, mutual aid for weeks afterwards, where people did things for themselves, and what we think is we can harness that spirit and make it a permanent thing.
When you look at the numbers that they were able to get voted into their positions with, there's no reason why we can't put forward Niles, Ed, Pierce, yourself. There's no reason why we can't put forward candidates that we know will not sell us out, because they are beholden to and receptive to the movements for social justice which exist within the borough, rather than beholden to corporate power.
Totally in class terms. We want to get rid of the toffs from the south of the borough, make ourselves independent, and then bring it in like a real direct democracy kind of place. Because the one good thing that could come out of the fire, one good thing is a totally new model of working, which isn't the hierarchy of things in the past. And it's a great opportunity to do that and build from the ground up again.
You know, I'd be looking for some really radical ways to do that within the law. Yeah. I'd also be looking for some radical ways to do that may be outside of the law slightly. I think it would be a brilliant thing to organise a council tax. You know, we all decide one quarter not to pay our council tax to the council, and the whole of North Kensington pays its council tax to a community organisation, and then, you know, facilitates all of those organisations that are already in place doing the work to continue doing their work and to become, you know, more official. And I think there's loads of things that we can and should be doing.
Remember those millions the council had in the bank that it could have spent on cladding that wasn't deadly? While we were filming this report, the council buckled under community pressure, announcing it would spend much of those reserves on rehousing survivors in the area.
We're on track to purchase about 300 properties before the second week in December. We're looking to try to make sure that we can offer people properties that are permanent. We're buying properties in the local area in W10 and W11, and we're spending really about 235 million.
But if it wasn't for us, standing up and fighting day after day, nothing would have changed for the victims. Who knows how long they would have been left homeless? And as if gestures like this are now going to make us forget that it was them who put us here in the first place. As if gestures like this could stop our fight for true justice.
We need to realise that collectively we have real power. Real power to shape our destinies and to be artisans of our fate. So we need to seize these opportunities and organise as much as we can. And that, if anything, that is the phoenix that will come out of this. That is an increasingly aware community of its interests that's not willing to be pushed around.